All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, and welcome to Choose You. Choose You is the weekly Tuesday IGTV show that is hosted by me, Tasha Haskins. I see you, Kat. Thank you to hopefully reach your life, showing you how to choose you each and every day and every step of the way. Again, I'm Tasha Haskins, Mrs. Curvey Globe 2020, and the author of Choose You, Change Your Path, and Walk in Your Purpose. Just a couple of announcements. I'm very excited. Gosh, in just like 4 weeks, there will be women from all across the globe, as well as all across the United States, heading to Palm Springs to vie for very prestigious titles. It is also a celebration of Mrs. Globe's 25th anniversary. So very, very excited for that. Of course, I have my own mixed feelings because that means that I won't get to be Mrs. Curvey Globe anymore. Wah. Okay. That's all right, though. That's okay. It is time for another beautiful queen to take the stage and I guess basically just walk out the dream of Mrs. Globe. I also want to share with you guys that I just came off of an amazing 4-day journey with the president of Mrs. Globe and the president of the Wynn Foundation, Dr. Tracy Campbell. It was a magic of manifesting, just period of time, one-on-one with her. And man, it was just so, I can't explain it. I really don't know if I have words for it, but I will say this, that I am definitely never going to be the same. And I'm very excited. I feel much peace in areas that maybe I didn't necessarily have peace. All right. So again, you're watching Choose You. And again, I'm very excited for my guest. I'm getting ready to bring her on. Her name is Kat Kim. Wow, wow, wow. Her testimony is so, so inspiring, but not just her testimony. The woman that she is now, what she's doing in her community, what she's doing across the world, and just in everyday life is powerful. So I'm excited to have a conversation with her. I'm getting ready to bring her on as we speak here. All right. I like when technology is on our side. That is always a fun experience. I think she is getting ready to come on here. There she is.
Good morning.
Good morning, sweetheart.
Hello, beautiful. Oh my God. How do I get through this screen? I just want to hug you.
Ditto, 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 ditto. I would love to be hugged right now.
Right, girl?
Yeah, I know it's so great to have you on the show. You look amazing. I'm grateful for the opportunity to be able to do this because as you've known, the last several years I've been on my own healing journey, and it's just so important for me to be able to expose people to professionals, to people that are entertainers in the different industries that have their own choose you stories, so to speak. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna like jump right in. I don't even want to rob you of any time of me talking anymore. So why don't you just share with us a little bit about your testimony? Because people see the glory, right? But they don't know the story. They
Yeah.
think they want what you have, but they don't know what you had to do to get what you got.
Right.
So, right. So I would love for you just to share who you are and your journey to the Cat Cam that we see today.
Yeah, sure. Absolutely. I think my journey really began when I was 6 years old.
Mm,
My mother began feeding me diet pills when I was 6 years old. And I was barely tall enough to look over the kitchen counter. And I remember one
mm,
day we were in the in the kitchen, and I had my hands on the kitchen counter like this, and I was looking up at my mom because every morning she would give me these pills. And this morning she was at the cutting table and she was cutting the pills in half. And I asked her, "Why are you doing this?" And she said, "Well, these are pills for adults and you're only a child, so you only need to take half."
mm.
I didn't question her. I was 6 years old. I didn't
Yeah,
question, like, what's going on? Is this wrong? I just
right.
fully accepted and confirmed and believed that there was something wrong with me and that I needed something outside of me in order to fix myself. So that was the story that was really stamped into my brain at that young age. And thus began a lifelong struggle of low self-confidence, no body, low body, no, like horrible body image, and no self-worth. I felt
Mm.
ugly, I felt fat, I felt unwanted, and I felt unworthy, all by the time I was in second grade.
Wow.
And I also grew up in a really emotionally abusive and physically abusive environment. And I started rebelling at a really young age. So I started smoking and drinking at 13, doing hardcore drugs at 18. No, I started doing hardcore drugs at 16. And then by 18, I was dealing cocaine. And I was transporting it from Washington State to California on the plane. And one day I was caught, I was handcuffed, I was put behind bars in Oakland, California, of
Oh
all
my
places.
God.
Right, girl?
Ooh.
Yeah, Oakland at that time was notorious for its high rates of violent crimes and homicides. And I was right there, smack dab in the middle of all of that. And you would think this was my wake up call, right, Tasha? You think this young girl in trouble behind bars would be like, oh my God, it's time to wake up. It's time to stop doing this, because I was on the fast path of self-destruction. But it wasn't my wake up call. I was absolutely fearless, but it wasn't the type of fearlessness that comes from the heart. It wasn't from courage. The root word of courage is cur, which is the heart. It wasn't that type of courage. It was the type of fearlessness that comes from having absolutely no regard for myself, my body, my life, and my future. I absolutely did not give a shit like what happened to me. And being the true opportunist that I am, I was in Oakland, California. I was like, you know what? I'm here. I'm gonna try to make some drug deals while I'm here.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to visualize this. I'm just like, I can't even. I mean, that's just how you know what God can do with people. But go ahead.
Right? I was literally out of place. I was out of place, and I remember. I'm just gonna share this story with you. I was there, and every day when we're going for our breakfast and lunch and dinner, we get into a line inside jail, and there's correctional officers who are handing you, I mean, it's kind of like on TV. They give you your tray, you're in a line, you go, and then they give you your food, and you sit down. I'm so out of place, right? And I sit down, and really the only thing that I want to eat there on my plate is the actual the fruit, because it's like, it's not like mushy, it's not gross. And I remember no, this is what happened. I was getting my tray, and there was this really tall correctional officer, black man, and I looked up at him, and I don't know why I remember this, but he just had a nice smile on his face, and he looks down at me. He goes, "What you in here for?" Like, he was totally shocked. And I looked up at him and I said, "Possession?" And he goes, "Possession of what? A chicken?" Oh, so anyway, totally out of place in jail. Now I'm facing 3 years in state prison because this is a serious crime. Luckily, I was able.
Girl.
Yeah, I know. Luckily, I was able to plead guilty. I was able to say, okay, this is what I did, and plead guilty. And they gave me an opportunity to go to rehab for 2 years and clean up myself. So I was able to get out of jail. And eventually I cleaned up the drugs and alcohol, but this didn't heal this sense of unworthiness inside of me. This entire time in my entire life, I walked around like I was the ugliest, meanest bitch in town. And I never took care of myself. I wore like clothes that didn't fit me. I didn't put makeup on, all of that. And because I believe this to be true about myself, I attracted everything into my life that validated those beliefs to be true, right? I was not choosing me. I was choosing a version of me that was hurting, that was a victim, and that was ugly and unworthy. So it wasn't until one day I was walking down my apartment hallway. At this time, I was in a very, very abusive relationship, emotionally abusive relationship. I was depressed. I couldn't even lift my arms off of my bed because there was this heavy, dark energy pushing me down. I was reliant on an abusive man to take care of me. I had no money. High school dropout, right? Convicted drug offender. I mean, on paper, it was just horrible. Somehow I managed to get up. I don't even remember where I was going, but I was walking down my apartment hallway to my elevator door. And in my apartment, in the hallway, there's this huge mirror that hangs on the wall across from the elevator door. And I remember I had my head down and I started walking and I looked up, I glanced up and I saw a woman in the hallway. And I saw her reflection in the mirror. And she was really like unkept. Her hair was all stringy. She was wearing big baggy clothes, and her face was really, really swollen and puffy. And there was something on her face. I couldn't even tell what it was, but looking at her, I just was like, oh my God, at least I'm not that bad. You know, like I was wallowing in my own toxicity and depression, but I saw this woman and I was like, holy cow, at least I'm not that bad. And then it hit me like a ton of bricks. There was nobody else. Nobody else in the hallway.
I have goosebumps right now.
Nobody else in that hallway. It was only me. I had become so disconnected from the woman that I wanted to be and the woman that I was being, that I didn't even recognize myself when I saw myself in the mirror. That was the moment.
Wow. We're going to pause right there because I want you to talk. We're going to talk about that. Well, first of all, wow. You know, I think, I don't know how many years ago it was that I first heard you kind of share your story a little bit, but it was, you know, faced in person on a stage. And again, it was just like you could, I think if there wasn't enough equipment to pick up all the jaws that were on the ground, right? But you know, I asked for, you know, my guests to share in the beginning, because I think, again, people, when they think about people that are going through something or have a challenge or they're broken because of a narrative that was placed into their mind at an early age, such as yourself, and even like me, you know, we think we have a picture of what that looks like, what that person probably looks like that has all these things going on. And that's why I love to spotlight people like yourself, because, you know, again, you know, it's at least perception wise, right? You're this beautiful and, you know, confident, successful. I'm not saying that you're not, but the point is like people don't believe that those types of things are things that we are challenged by, you know, or things that come up, and how a seed, especially by someone that says they love us, that seed that can be planted, initiated, and how it can actually affect the rest of our lives, you know. And you and I are I don't know how old you were when all this occurred, but I'm like in my late 30s before I was actually finally started breaking those things and healing from them. You know? So I want to kind of, we're going to wrap around back to your choose you moment, because there's some questions I have around that. But I want to actually talk about just hopping over when you chose yourself into the things you started to actually get into doing. So you have all these different programs, such as the School of the Divine Confidence, which I think is amazing. You're a leadership coach. Like, what, I guess, made you want to shift those things and turn them into an actual curriculum and actual leading people?
Yeah, so there is I want to continue my story because it leads right into this. It's perfect.
I don't want you to say it yet.
Okay.
All right, fine. You're messing up my whole little flow, Miss Kate. No,
No, it won't. It won't. I promise you, it's going to be beautiful.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, you know, I'm standing there in front of the mirror, completely shocked at what I'm looking at and realizing this is not who I am. And that's the moment I decided that I would do everything it takes to become the woman that I wanted to be. That was the moment that I chose myself. I wanted to be beautiful. I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to walk into a room and have people notice me, but not for how I looked, but for my presence, for how I showed up. I wanted to transform lives. And at that time, I was nothing near that. It was like a secret burning desire that I had that was so vulnerable and so unreal and so unattainable that I dared not share that with anybody, because I knew people would laugh at me. But that's the moment I chose myself. That's the moment I decided I would do whatever it takes to become this woman. And so I began studying everything under the sun, Mrs. Globe. I began studying everything under the sun about personal transformation. I became a certified image consultant. So I studied body styles, body shapes, color, makeup. How do you accentuate and highlight the best aspects of a man or a woman with clothing and colors and makeup, right? And then I became a nationally certified personal trainer, where I began studying how the body goes through physical transformation. Like I
Wow.
started studying physiology and nutrition and biology and all these things. And then I became and then I went under a 3-year training program to become a transformational life coach, where I began to really understand the power of the mindset and how that affects your results, your
Mm.
behavior and results. And ultimately, this quest for transformation on the outside, ironically, kept taking me deeper inside.
Yep.
I wasn't expecting this. It's led me to this world of spirituality and metaphysics and consciousness and energy, where I discovered that everything we are experiencing in the physical world cannot exist without it existing in our internal
Mm.
metaphysical world beyond the physical. And by
Yeah.
that, I mean in our thoughts and in our minds and our hearts. Whatever we are experiencing and seeing in that outside world is a mirror reflection of what's going on here. And I just found
Mm.
that so fascinating and powerful, because on this quest for transformation, I'm like, how do I make this transformation as quickly and as effortlessly as possible? And I
Yeah.
realized it's not from changing all of your actions and your behaviors. It's not even changing the people outside of you. Bless you if you think that if you are going to change people outside of you. You're not, and it's a waste of energy. If you want to experience something different outside of you, if you want to experience something different with your relationships, your body, your love, your career, your money,
Mm.
that all begins right here. And guess what? Here's the piece that I was not expecting at all. As I'm on this quest for understanding the source of all things and where everything really begins, this is the big trip that I was not expecting, and I even denied for a little bit. All of that begins in one place. What is the source of all things? Because I'm looking, I'm digging. What is the source of all things? It's spirit,
Yeah.
right? It's source, it's God, whatever name you have for it. I realized that that's the source for all things. And so this quest, trying to change all these things outside of me, basically,
Mm.
I learned that actually begins with your relationship with source, with spirit, because spirit is your source for love. Spirit is your
Yeah.
source for beauty. Spirit is your source for abundance and
Mm.
power, all of that. So that is
So good.
why I began creating and dedicating my life to helping others go through this very similar transformation. And that's when I created the School of Divine Confidence. Since then, Tasha, I've been so blessed to be invited to go on The Rock. The Rock had a motivational reality TV show several years back. I was a
Yeah.
coach and mentor. I've been on a music video with John Legend, and all of these things. I can't make this stuff up.
No, you can't. And I have to say that it's like it's simple, but it's not simple, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest thing that I've found, like I actually, and there's a part of my book, that the middle section, which is called change, and this is where the personal kind of responsibility comes in, right? Because when things happen to us, on the outside, where the things have been doing, we want to believe that the answer is from the outside as
Yep.
well, right?
Yep.
Like, okay, they did that to me, this person did that to me, that happened to me, this happened to me. So therefore, when those things are together, those things are right, then I'm going to be okay.
Right.
And it could not be so much farther from the truth.
That's right.
And that was probably the toughest part of my journey, was my own personal responsibility for my healing. Like literally my own personal responsibility. And then, tapping into, as you call, the source,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tapping into like what's in here.
Mm-hmm.
Because that whole like that whole energy thing you're talking about is real. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't explain to you just the experiences and the different types of people that I'm now congruent with, that I wouldn't be. There are people who have tried to come back into my life
Yep.
since and they're like, you're different. I'm like,
Yeah.
Okay. You know, like it's like this, they don't even fit
Yeah.
anymore with who I am. Like they were
Yep.
more comfortable with the toxic, broken,
That's right.
like gross, you know, just like dysfunctional, insecure, whatever, you know, Tasha. They don't even know what to do
Yeah.
with this Tasha, right? Which is honestly the authentic original Tasha that was muck and mired by all the stuff. So when people are like, are you a new you? I'm like, no, I'm the authentic me. I'm the me that before all the crap.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it.
So now I have so I would you did share a little bit about it, but I want to talk about you.
Mm-hmm.
As far as when you looked in that mirror and that was your choose you moment,
Mm-hmm.
what are the practical things that you did, Kat,
Mm-hmm.
that were like that actually physically changed your direction? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So before you got to the place of, you know, program development and
Mm-hmm.
wanting to study and all that stuff. So I know you didn't go from that mirror experience to, I think I want to study to become a life coach, you
Yeah.
know. Like, what was that? What did that practically look like? I really believe that the viewers now and the viewers in the future are going to be able to benefit from some of those steps.
Such a great question. And you're absolutely right. Basically, it's really simple. I started writing, I started journaling, I started getting real. Now, mind you, I was in the middle of a toxic, abusive relationship. So much so that, like, if I wanted to read a book, I would I would wake up in the middle of the night and I would sneak reading the book because I didn't want him to see because he would make fun of it or he would like take it from me. And so it was like that type
Mm.
of level. And I remember reading my first spiritual book at that time, and it was encouraging me to meditate. And you can meditate or not, but this is what I did. I wrote down my secret burning desire. What do I really want in my heart of hearts?
Mm.
And this is the first time I let myself even think like that. I've had images of it, but I dared not go further. But for me to actually write it down, now I'm making it physical, you know? My secret burning desire really was at that time to be a powerful, beautiful woman. I saw
Yeah.
myself on stage. It was a red dress. I saw myself on stage speaking and transforming lives. And here's the question I asked myself for everybody who's listening. This is the money question. For anyone who's been through hardship, anyone who's going through something right now where you're looking at your situation and you're thinking, oh my God, I don't know what to do with this. If you're feeling shame around anything, it could be money, your body, your health, relationships. This is the question that I asked.
Mm.
What needs to happen, or what do I need to create in the future such that when I look back at this moment, I'm going to be grateful it happened. Not just grateful,
Mm.
but not just grateful. What do I need to create in the
Mm.
future such that when I look back at this moment, I am going to wish nothing else that it actually happened the way it happened.
Wow.
Right? So for me, it was the only thing that's going to make this worth it is if I am on stage talking to thousands of people, making an impact and transforming lives. That's the only way this is going to make this worth it.
I
And
love
boom,
it.
that's what happened. That question will
Wow.
skyrocket you into your soul purpose, but it has to be bold. It has to be bold.
Mm. That is deep because when I was on my Magic and Manifestation week with Dr. Tracy, she kind of asked a similar question, but not. Because
Mm-hmm.
I have a person that's in my life that's created a lot of trauma since a very young age. And she formed the question like, what if you actually picked this person to be in your life?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, but I wouldn't.
Yeah.
But she was like, what if you did though?
Yeah.
What would be the purpose? What was it that you could say that you gained? So obviously you super spiritual people up there in the sky that I'm not yet, I'm just kidding. Have a very similar, that's why I bring the professionals onto the show. Because I feel like I'm supposed to lead people to the water. You could, give them the water. But that's very similar and that is very profound. I'm actually going to have to really think about that. What made all of that stuff, what would make all of the stuff
Mm-hmm.
Worth it.
Worth it.
I mean, wow. Because if I'm honest, even though this isn't like a counseling session, but I mean, since I'm all about being real,
yeah.
if I'm honest, I never wanted a testimony. I just wanted to live my life. Like I never wanted, when people are like, oh, you made it through this, that's your testimony.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want a test.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want a money. I just wanted to live. Okay. Like I was like, I don't feel like a notch of pride on my belt because I've overcome all these things. Like I'd rather have just had a normal life, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So then I sit here and think like, okay, that's a great question because for me, I always wanted just normalcy, even though I kept fighting because I knew there was something, and I did get to a point where I didn't want to fight for Tasha anymore. And I think had the spirit or my father not came to me, I wouldn't be here anymore because I was like, what's the point? Like, I hate it here. Like, why am I here? So,
well, here's the thing.
now,
and I want to say something about that.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. Like you gotta create purpose out of every pain, every painful moment. That's the moment of transformation. That's when you choose you instead of being a victim to your circumstances.
Exactly.
Right? So everything you can choose, you create the purpose. You don't wait for the purpose. You don't wait for someone to give it to you. No. We create the purpose in every painful moment. We create the purpose in every normal moment. We do it. And that's the power that we have. And that's an extraordinary ability that we have as humans.
That's so powerful. Creating a purpose in your pain. And I love that. And I guess not knowing what to call it, I guess I must have done that,
You did.
Because here I am. It was, because here I am. But that is amazing. Now you talked about the journaling, and was there any other, did you do like any therapy or anything like that? Or was it really just like you kind of just dialing in and?
Yep. It was me dialing in. I didn't do therapy. I should have been in therapy since I was, 6 years old, really.
Yeah.
But I just became obsessed about transformation. And this, like I said, this journey just took me in deeper and deeper inside into this relationship with spirit or source. And I had to reclaim my power is what it was. And that means, the way that I define divine confidence is having an unshakable faith in knowing who you are and what you're here to do, regardless of what's going on in the world outside of you. And by that, I mean, regardless of how much money is in your bank account, regardless of what the scale, the number on the scale, regardless of who's the president. Okay, all of that stuff is outside of you. And if you're waiting for any of that to change before you feel good about yourself, you are literally handing your power on a silver platter to everybody outside of you. I can't be happy until my boyfriend treats me this way. I can't be successful until I have this amount of money. No. That's giving your power away to outside circumstances, which we cannot ultimately control. So this journey is about taking your power back, reclaiming it. I don't need any of that to change outside of me in order to feel grounded and have purpose and knowing who I am and what I'm here to do. And when I say knowing what you're here to do, it doesn't have to be this big, massive life purpose. No. It just means right here.
No. That's your thing. No.
It's just, what is your purpose? What are you being called to step into in this moment to moment that can change? And if you're fighting with somebody and you're, in a relationship that's causing you stress, in that moment, are you being called into love? Are you being called into opening up lines of communication? That's purpose right there in that moment.
So good. That's so good. Now, I always love, I'm going to ask you a question. Most of our viewers watch after because of work hours and things like that. But there will be someone that's watching that's at a crossroads of continuing the path of pain, usually because of familiarity, right? Or choosing themselves, which can be scary because it can be lonely. It can be, people don't like you anymore or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. But what would you say to that woman or male that is standing at that crossroads? What would you say to them to encourage them to choose themselves and start on that path to healing?
I love that. Give yourself permission to nurture and cultivate your heart of heart's desire. Take the
Mm.
time, journal, pray, meditate on it. Call me, right? Like, follow me. Like,
Don't call.
yeah, don't call me.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you're right. Tap into that heart of heart's desire. What do you truly, truly, truly desire? Now, when I say that, I'm not talking about what you're capable of doing, what you're able to do. Now, notice your mind will say, oh, that's not possible. There's no way. And if your mind is doing that, then that's probably the thing, the real thing that you're being called into. Nurture whatever that thing is. For me, it was being a powerful, beautiful woman who's making an impact and transforming lives. That was my secret burning desire that I wanted so much in my heart. But I was embarrassed to share it. So I kept it a secret, but I nurtured it. I wrote about it. I thought about it. And that was the beginning where I began nurturing that seed in my mind, watering it with love. And then that thing grew and grew and grew.
Wow, that's beautiful. I like it. I'm gonna do it. I'm just kidding. Okay, no, I like it. I like it. Kat, thank you so much for being on the show. I mean, they're really we'll probably have to do like a part 2 because I know there's so much. But what I really wanted people to take away is, again, just seeing the transformative, power, right, of tapping into our spirit. And even that is just so deep. I mean, there are times where I look back at pictures and I'm like, that was me.
Yeah.
You're just like, whoa, on so many different levels. And so the fact that mirror experience is deep, because the fact that you thought it was somebody else standing in the mirror, waiting on the elevator that's deep. And that's something how far we can end up getting into it, right?